Hi, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name is Newt. I co-run this channel with my best friend Mushy. We are part-time artists hoping to one day make it our full-time career to be artists and content creators. This is a desk that is in our basement. It actually came with our house. It's just this kind of gross, janky desk that I've been using to do my resin at. Since resin's pretty toxic, you kind of need a place away from everybody else and your animals that's like well ventilated that you don't have to worry about while you're doing your resin. So I had been doing it on this table, but it was pretty cluttered and messy and gross, and it hadn't been cleaned since we moved in. So I decided that I wanted to clean it this day. I just cleared it off, and then I was scraping off all the extra gunk and stuff that you can see here. Some of the stuff just would not budge, and that's okay because in the long run it didn't actually matter that much. So yeah, here's the desk, pretty much as clean as I can get it, and then tap tappity tap tap, and it's a new desk. Mr. New actually got this piece of, I can't remember the name of what this is. It's not, I don't think it's stone, but he got this piece off of his job site and then he cut it down to size, and it was perfect. It was just a leftover scrap that they didn't need anymore, so he thought it'd work perfectly for my desk, and it does. Definitely enhances the whole thing like times 10, so I really love the look of it. It's so shiny. And then I'm just putting down the stuff that I use most generally for my resin. So I have my trash can, which I put all my gloves inside, and my brushes, this thing that sometimes I put my stuff on to do resin, alcohol, a box for my gloves, and obviously my UV light and my resin. What I find really helps with longevity of the brushes that you're using is once you're done painting your piece, is you take the brush and you swish it around in alcohol and then wipe it off onto the paper towel. And if you do that a couple times, it usually gets most of the resin off, so you should be good to be able to use that brush for the next time that you're doing resin. And this is the completed look. It's so nice. It's definitely upgraded from what it was looking like before, especially with the new desk. Mr. New did a really great job with putting that together and making my resin area like 10 times better than it was. I got this at Big Lots like a couple weeks ago, and it's like the perfect little spring quilt. It's just got this cute flower detailing on it, and then on the other side it's this pink color, like a deeper, kind of like a mauve pink. And then I have the pillowcases that I made last spring with the little bees on it, which are super cute, and they actually match this perfectly because there's little yellow flowers in it. So altogether, it just makes a super cute spring bed set. And then last week, brother gave me this vine garland stuff. They're fake, obviously, but this one's not staying twisted for some reason, but I just twisted them across the top of the bed, and then I did the same thing over the curtain rack up here, just kind of twisted them, and then here I put a bundle of eucalyptus. This is kind of what it looks like all together, and yes, it would look better if the bed could be centered, but it can't because Moose's bed is down there. So it's not centered, but I think it looks really pretty. And today I bought these little bee lights, and I'm going to twist them around that so then it'll match even better. It's going to be so cute. So I got these at Michael's today. They were like 50% off, so I'm going to try to wrap these around that area to make it super adorable.
Too slippery.
Sit. Give me your pole. Your pole. Give me your pole. Let's see it. Give me your pole. Nice. Sit. Your pose. Give me your pose. Here you go. Give me your pole. Nice. So I decided I wanted to work with watercolor this day. I just pulled out my old watercolor tin that I had, got the watercolors ready, and I decided to work out of this book, Watercolor with Me in the Forest by Dana Fox. She does these really cool, simple watercolors with like instructions on how to do them, and I wanted to do this little raccoon for Mr. Newt because he loves raccoons. This is a generic drawing, and of course you're supposed to go off of the book, so basically you're supposed to just use the drawing that she already created in the book, and you're just supposed to paint on top of it. And I tried doing that. She has another watercolor book, I think it's called Watercolor in the Ocean or something like that. It's just ocean dwelling creatures basically, and that one's really cool. And I did do a painting, and it was of a turtle, and it came out really good. I did it in the actual book, but then I went to do a whale, and the colors like bled all weird. It was so weird, like the paper did not hold up at all. So I thought that was really, really strange because it held up fine when I was doing the turtle, but then when I did the whale, it just bled all over the place, and I ended up just redoing the whale using paper from a watercoloring pad. So I'm not sure what that's about, but I don't trust these books to do the paintings in themselves, so I just choose to draw out the image as I want to. As you can see for this raccoon, I changed it just a little bit with the tail, and then just kind of go from there instead of doing it inside the book. It's good practice anyways because I like to draw and I don't really get to do it that much. But also the instructions in her book aren't the best. Like, it's literally, I think this one, the instructions were like 4 sentences, like, oh, do this, like put down this base color, and then go in and put these lines in, and then put more lines in, and like you're making the hair, and like I guess you're just supposed to like intuit like what you're supposed to do. But if you're like an absolute beginner, I'm not sure if you would be able to. You might get discouraged kind of quickly, especially if you're doing it in the book like you're supposed to, and then the watercolor like bleeds everywhere and you're like, oh shoot, like what am I doing wrong, when it might not even be you, it might just be the paper and like how it was printed. It's printed on watercolor paper, but I mean, I don't know, it didn't work out that one time, so now I don't trust it. But I kind of was like following the instructions and then just kind of doing my own thing. In hindsight, I don't think I would have put down a base layer of color. Like, I get why she said to do that, but also the base layer that I did was too red, and raccoons are more like gray brown. So you can see, like, as I'm doing this tail area, this kind of seems more like how a raccoon coloring would be. It's kind of like this gray. So once I finished the tail, I was like, shoot, so I need to add more red because now it just looks weird. So I end up having to go back and forth a lot and add a lot more red into the tail because I didn't do a base layer in the tail, don't ask me why. And yeah, so that was a learning experience. I think if I was to do this again, I probably wouldn't do the base layer like I said. But once I started adding the black markings in the face and on the tail, it really started to feel more like a raccoon. I was getting like red panda vibes there for a little bit, but then once I started putting the black on the tail, I was like, okay, it looks like a raccoon, like you're good. And honestly, this was so fun to make. I definitely recommend her books if you're interested in watercolor and like want to start somewhere but don't really know what to do. You just gotta kind of do your own thing, and I think that's kind of what the books are trying to get you to do. Like, they're not really step by step like they are, but they're not going to tell you word for word what you need to do. You're just kind of figuring it out yourself as you're going along, and I think that's really important. So I do recommend them, but don't feel discouraged if it doesn't look exactly like her picture does when you're done. Just know that it's a good practice, and if it looks really good or if it looks even better, then that's really cool too. But watercolor is definitely a learning curve, and for me, a lot about letting go and just kind of being more free and flowing with the watercolor. I definitely prefer more like free looking watercolors where like the paint just goes everywhere. I'm still practicing on how to do that and how to kind of let go of control over it. And then to just kind of top everything off, I did my splatters. This is something I like doing to all my paintings. I don't know why, because I'm trying to make it look free and flowing when it doesn't. So I'm like, okay, I'll add splatters and this will make it look unique. Mr. Newt loved it, by the way. Also, I picked up this apple juice container purely because I thought it would make a good watercolor vessel to wash my brushes in. And then we went for a walk with the dogs. We have Moose, of course, and then we were babysitting my mom's dog, Mr. Pitsy. Look how cute he is. He's such a goober. He's like the craziest dog ever. This is our stupid little pigeon. She always flies away from me. Throat's parched. So I picked up a couple of cozy springtime books recently and I really wanted to share. So the first one that I got is The Complete Brambley Hedge by Jill Barklam. If you're a fan of Redwall or talking animals or anything really cottagecore related that's like really cute and cozy, then you would definitely be interested in this book. The stories are about a self-sufficient community of mice that make the most of their surroundings throughout all the seasons and just all the cute and fun things that they do together. I don't think there's like anything bad that really happens in these because they're just so wholesome and like down to earth and just like you're just following mice doing like fun things and like going on little adventures and going on picnics and like baking, and you get to see their homes and all the cute stuff that they have in their homes, and illustrations that she does in these are top notch. They're really, really well done. There's like every time you look at them there's something different that you can see in the picture. It's really cool the way that they're drawn. It's so cottagecore, it's so cute. I'm currently reading the spring story as we're going into spring. So then I got this really cool book. So this is the Pride and Prejudice, which is great in and of itself, but this is curated by Barbara Heller. It has 19 letters of all the correspondences that the characters have with each other. Pretty cool how it's laid out. So you read along and then like this is coming up onto the first letter. Come here. Come here. Mouth hath decided to join us. There. So you'll be reading along, and then once you come to a letter or correspondence that happens within the book, they wrote most of them out. So I think pretty much all of them, or the most significant ones for sure. So like this one's to Miss Bennet and Miss Elizabeth Bennet, and the author or the person that curated the letters, she did a lot of research in trying to make sure that the letters looked as accurate as possible to the time period and how they would have looked, even coming down as far as the postage symbols that would have been on there that the postage person would have used when delivering the letters, and the way that they're folded, and like some of them have stains on them. I think pretty much all of them have that little wax seal. They don't have the wax seals on them, which would have been really cool, but they have the wax seal stain from where that would have been. One of the main ones is the letter that Mr. Darcy writes Elizabeth after she turns down his marriage proposal, and that one's like gigantic, and I feel like that's like the main one that this whole collection revolve around, because that's like a really big point in the story, is when she turns down his marriage proposal. So that one was really fun to look through. So those are the two books that I got recently that I really liked. But if you're interested in books that have like extra stuff inside of them, like letters and whatever, then I have two other book recommendations that I think you would really like if you're into that sort of thing. And the first one is called Letters from Fairyland, and this book is so pretty, and it's by the Folio Society that come out with high class books. And the paper in this is like, it's so thick. It's like watercolor paper. Like, it feels like somebody actually like made this book for you themselves. But this is about an artist who gets a letter from a girl who's asking him if fairies in the Gnome King are real, and then he proceeds to send her a letter back saying that he's sending her enclosed letters from the fairies in the Gnome King so she can decide for herself if they are real. But it's so cool. And all throughout it obviously are like the letters, like this is one, and you can pop it out and read it. The story's super short, so I'm not gonna say too much about it, but I think it's definitely worth what it is. It's definitely like one of those magical fairy type books. So if you're into fairies and if you're into like extra stuff inside your books, like letters and stuff, you'd probably really enjoy this. And the last one is by J.J. Abrams. It's S, or Ship of Theseus. This book is supposed to look like an old library book, so it's like even got this like old looking tag on it like you would have in a library. The book itself has like, it's kind of stained and like gross looking, and inside of it, annotations. So basically this Ship of Theseus story is an actual story that the characters in the book that are writing the annotations in are reading. So these two people are reading this book, and they start writing annotations back and forth to each other throughout the book, like talking about the book, their stories. Like as they get to know each other, they start to leave things in the book for each other. Like this is like a newspaper article that's in the book. And then of course they talk about like the different things that they leave in the book. Like this one, it's like a postcard, even a napkin. Like this napkin has like a diagram on it, or like a map. I'm not sure how you're supposed to go about reading it. Like if you're supposed to read the actual Ship of Theseus first, like read the story without reading their annotations and then go back in and read their annotations, or if you're supposed to just read the Ship of Theseus story and then read their annotations to each other. So I'm not sure how you're supposed to do that. So it's been a little daunting, but it's definitely like, it's a really unique idea. And they even have in the back of the book, like the library checkout dates. And like the stain is like part of the book. And I totally forgot to end this video, so here's me eating a cupcake, and thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate all of you, and come back next week for a video from Mushy. Thanks, bye!